Welcome to Human Resources for the People. It's a human capital revolution.
Today on Human Resources for the People, we're going to discuss the technical assistance document the EEOC issued with respect to AI and the ADA. So on May 12th of this year, 2022, the EEOC issued a document, a technical assistance document, telling you how you should manage the ADA and your AI work. And human resources professionals use AI all the time for a lot of different things. What's become more popular, of course, is filters in order to screen out inappropriate or unfit candidates for new positions. However, they can also use it for other things, right? So the human resources professionals will use AI to chat with prospective candidates to give them information as well as to screen them out using tests. And the EEOC has stepped in and said, well, this is what you should know when you're using AI. The problem with that, and what's a little odd, I guess, is that all of their tips are best practices for any circumstances within your business, for any things that you need to know with respect to maintaining a compliant business. Their advice is to follow what's been in practice and in guidelines for years. And so we'll talk about this real briefly. So the EEOC went over different things in their technical assistance document, including accessibility. And right here, we're looking at an article from Littler, written by shareholder James Peretti and shareholder Naloy Ray. But here they wrote this article outlining the new change or the new advice for employers under the EEOC, and it has to do with accessibilities, accommodations, and making sure that testing criteria meets the access consideration. So, with respect to accessibility, again, it's something that we've seen for a long time. Even if you're not in the human resources field, you'll see language that refers on language on job applications that refers to making sure that the application itself is accessible to those with disabilities. And that has been happening for a very long time. That is because it's consistent with best practices. Here, the EEOC reiterates that and makes sure you know that interactive tools have to be easily accessed and to make sure that you understand how they can be easily accessed. Then further, they decide that you should offer accommodations with respect to AI tools when using them for assessing candidates. That you should provide alternatives. Again, that's best practices. That's standard operating processes for good HR departments. And so here, the EEOC, often treats businesses and human resource professionals as a whole as sort of idiots and people who really don't know what they're doing and don't know how to follow the law. Sure, it's nice that they are providing these technical assistance documents, but oftentimes they're just preludes to fines and other measures against the business. So beyond this, they just want to make sure that the EEOC wants to make sure that the tests are job appropriate, that it matters, that the reason they're being tested on is directly related to the job. And again, that is standard operating procedure for best practices for good human resources departments. One of the things that is somewhat related, although in a completely different context, is the result of Griggs versus Duke Power, which makes sure that hurdles to employment are directly related to the employment itself. In Griggs versus Duke Power, the court found that the company Duke Power was unjustly using high school diplomas as a means of filtering out potential employees. It had an adverse impact on African American employees. I believe this was in North Carolina, although I'm not certain on that. But I believe it was, and it was having disparate impact on the hiring of African American employees, and as a result, the court found in favor of Griggs, the plaintiff. So that was a bit of a detour, but the long short of it is, for a long time, testing criteria has to meet, has to be related to what the job is like, to the actual issues that arise in a job. But again, the EEOC is taking steps that are not new, and frankly, it's a little bit disturbing because the AI should not be discouraged from the standpoint of biases and discrimination. Right? AI has the opportunity to give HR practitioners a full understanding and a full read of a person's capabilities without considering their race, their age, and their religion, of course, and all the other protection classes that come with it. AI reads the resumes as they're written and then makes justifications or makes connections with the job. And so AI should be encouraged, both from the clear standpoint of removing issues with respect to discrimination in the workplace, as well as an efficiency process. Right, this saves human resources a significant amount of time, and it really leads to good outcomes. Most human resources professionals are happy with their AI when it comes to recruiting, when it comes to other areas. Of course, AI can be programmed to discriminate, and so it has to AI has to take on a strong. It has to be mitigated. It has to be strongly understood to prevent discrimination, even though it's a machine. Obviously, we have certain biases that we build into our everyday life, and we can build those into AI. But they have to be double-checked and triple-checked to make sure that a human resources practitioner's AI is not, discriminating in any way. But again, they released this new technical assistance document on May 12th of 2022, and it's interesting. Of course, the EEOC asks a couple questions of the AI or of the practice of using AI, and some of these are listed here under practical application. If the tool requires applicants or employees to engage a user interface, is the interface accessible to persons with disabilities? Are materials presented in alternative formats? Has the algorithm been assessed to determine whether it disadvantages individuals with disabilities? Does the tool clearly indicate that reasonable accommodation, including alternative formats, are available to persons with disabilities? And it goes on like this. Again, these are all best practices within the human resources world. It's expected that you make those considerations of all things, not just artificial intelligence and how it screens, but in every aspect and everything that we do. So it's another piling on of the EEOC under this administration. We can continue to expect some of this. We can continue to expect a EEOC that continues to treat people like children. AI is extremely important to non-discrimination, to creating a fair and level playing field. And guidances like this simply discourage it without really providing any value at all. Thank you very much for your time today. This is Human Resources for the People. If you like what you heard today, please like, share, and subscribe, and we'll see you on the next video. Bye-bye.